Picture this. It's the middle of a freezing night. The wind is hitting the walls of a small house like it's trying to get inside. There's no gas line running to this house, no electricity either, because the power went out hours ago. And yet, inside, a family is warm. Not just warm for a few minutes, warm for the entire night. No blankets stacked to the ceiling, no expensive heater humming in the corner. Just a small clay pot sitting quietly in the middle of the room, glowing faintly, doing something most people in modern cities have never even heard of. This is not a myth. This is not some random internet trick someone made up for views. This is something villages have used for generations, passed down from grandparents to parents to kids, long before central heating existed, long before anyone worried about gas bills or power cuts. And the strange part is, it's built from two of the most ordinary things on Earth: mud and coal. Stay with me here, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this works, why it's not magic, and why so many people in modern homes are missing out on something their own ancestors knew like the back of their hand. Before we go further, if you're the kind of person who likes learning the real reasons behind old tricks that actually work, and not just recycled myths, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel breaks these things down properly. No fluff, no fake claims, just the real explanation behind how things work. All right, let's get into it. So here's the first thing you need to let go of. This is not free heat out of nowhere. Nothing on this planet creates heat out of nothing. That's not how physics works, and if any video tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. What's actually happening here is smarter than that. It's not about creating heat from nothing. It's about controlling heat so well that it feels like it's lasting forever. Coal, when it burns, gives off real heat. That part isn't a secret. Anyone who's ever sat near a coal fire knows that. The real secret, the part almost nobody thinks about, is what happens after the coal burns. In most modern heaters, that heat escapes into the room fast, peaks quickly, and then disappears just as fast once the fuel runs out. You get a short burst of warmth, and then you're back in the cold, feeding more fuel and just to stay comfortable. Villages figured out a way around that problem long before anyone had a name for thermal mass or heat retention systems. They used mud. Thick, packed-shaped mud formed into pots, stoves, or sealed chambers around the burning coal. And this is where it gets interesting, because mud isn't just sitting there doing nothing. Mud is dense. It's slow to heat up and just as slow to cool down. When you pack it around a coal fire, it doesn't block the heat. It absorbs it, holds onto it, and then releases it slowly, hour after hour, long after the coal itself has stopped actively burning. Think of it like this. Imagine pouring hot water into a thin plastic cup versus pouring it into a thick stone cup. The plastic cup gets hot fast and cools down fast too. The stone cup takes its time to warm up, but once it does, it holds that warmth for a much longer stretch. That's basically what's happening with mud and coal. The mud becomes a slow-release battery for heat, not electricity, not gas, just stored warmth, being let out steadily instead of all at once. This is why in so many older village homes, you'll find small mud stoves, sometimes shaped like simple pots, sometimes built into a wall or a corner with a small space inside for burning coal or even coal dust mixed with other natural binding materials. The shape isn't random either. Villagers weren't guessing. Over generations, through nothing but trial and error, they landed on shapes and thicknesses that hold heat the longest without wasting fuel. Nobody wrote this in a textbook. It just got passed down, refined a little more with each generation, until it became second nature. Here's something that might surprise you. This isn't just some obscure practice from one random village somewhere. Similar ideas show up in different forms across different parts of the world. Traditional heated floors in old homes, clay ovens used for both cooking and warming a room, thick mud walls in desert regions that keep homes cool in the day and warm at night. Different cultures, different climates, but the same underlying idea. Use a dense material to store heat, then let it release slowly instead of letting it vanish the moment the fire goes out. Now here's where it gets even more interesting for anyone living today, especially with power outages becoming more common, storms knocking out electricity for hours or even days, and heating bills climbing higher every single year. This old village method isn't just some nostalgic throwback. It's a genuinely smart piece of engineering, discovered without any of today's technology, using nothing but observation and patience. Think about how differently people are heating their homes right now compared to 100 years ago. Modern heaters, in a lot of ways, are actually less efficient at holding on to heat, because most of them are built for fast comfort, not lasting comfort. Flip a switch, get instant heat, but the moment that switch flips off, the warmth disappears almost as quickly as it came. There's no storage, no slow release. Just heat and then cold, heat and then cold, over and over. The mud and coal method flips that entire idea on its head. It's slow to start, sure. It's not instant. You're not flipping a switch and getting warmth in 2 seconds. But once it gets going, it just keeps giving quietly, steadily, for hours longer than most people would expect. And that's exactly why so many people today, especially in colder regions or places where power isn't always reliable, are starting to pay attention to old methods like this one again. There's also something deeper here worth sitting with for a second. This method didn't come from a lab. It didn't come from a company trying to sell you something. It came from people who had no other choice but to figure out how to survive the cold using whatever was around them. Mud was everywhere. Coal, or coal-like fuel, was accessible. And out of pure necessity, they built something that worked so well it's still being used today in some homes, in some villages, quietly, without any fanfare. So the question worth asking is this. If something this simple, built from two things you can find almost anywhere, was smart enough to keep entire families warm through freezing nights for generations, why did so much of the modern world completely forget about it? Why did we trade something slow, steady, and reliable for something fast, expensive, and completely dependent on the grid staying on? That's exactly what we're going to dig into next, because understanding why this got left behind tells you just as much as understanding how it works in the first place. And trust me, the reason isn't what most people assume. So let's pick up right where we left off. Why did something this effective just fade away in so many places? The honest answer isn't that it stopped working. It never stopped working. The heat never got weaker. The mud never lost its ability to hold warmth. What actually changed was the world around it. Think about what happened over the last 100 years or so. Cities grew. Power lines got installed. Gas pipelines got built underground, running for miles, connecting homes to central systems most people never even think about. And once that happened, convenience took over. Nobody wanted to spend an hour packing mud around coal and waiting for it to slowly warm up when they could just flip a switch and feel heat in seconds. Convenience always wins in the short term, even when it's not actually the smarter choice in the long term. But here's the part that rarely gets talked about. Convenience came with a hidden cost. The moment homes became dependent on gas lines and electric grids, they also became dependent on those systems never failing. And systems fail. Storms knock out power, gas lines get disrupted, prices spike without warning. Suddenly, millions of people who have zero backup plan are sitting in the cold, waiting for someone else to fix a system they have no control over. Meanwhile, in the villages where mud and coal heating never fully disappeared, none of that mattered. No power outage could touch it. No gas shortage could touch it. It didn't need permission from a company or a utility provider. It just needed mud, coal, and a bit of patience. This is where things get genuinely interesting because this isn't just a story about heating. It's a story about self-reliance versus dependence. And that theme runs a lot deeper than most people realize once you actually sit with it for a minute. Let's slow down and look closer at how this method actually works in practice. Because once you understand it step by step, you'll realize just how clever it really is. It usually starts with a simple mud stove, sometimes called different names depending on the region, but the concept stays the same everywhere. The stove is shaped by hand using mud that's been mixed to the right consistency. Not too wet, not too dry, packed tightly so there are no weak points that could crack under heat. This isn't random mud straight from the ground either. In a lot of villages, it's mixed with small amounts of other natural materials to strengthen it and help it hold up to repeated heating and cooling without falling apart. Once the stove is shaped and fully dried, coal is placed inside a small chamber, usually with just enough airflow to let it burn steadily rather than burning out fast. And this is one of the smartest parts of the whole design. It's not about creating a huge blazing fire. It's about creating a slow, controlled burn, one that releases heat gradually instead of all at once. A slow burn means the mud around it has time to absorb that heat evenly, instead of getting hit with a sudden burst it can't fully retain. As the coal burns, the heat moves outward into the thick mud walls surrounding it. And here's the part that feels almost counterintuitive if you're used to modern heaters. The room doesn't get blasted with heat right away. It builds up slowly. But once that mud is fully warmed through, it becomes like a quiet heater of its own, radiating warmth steadily into the room for hours, long after the coal has burned down to almost nothing. Some villagers have described it as the room staying warm well into the next morning, even when the fire itself looked like it had gone out hours earlier. This is the exact opposite of how most people experience heat today. Modern heating is front-loaded. You get maximum warmth immediately, and then it fades the moment you turn the source off. This old method is backloaded. It takes a while to build up, but once it does, it keeps giving long after you'd expect it to stop. It's patient heat. It's heat that respects the idea of waiting for something worth having instead of demanding instant results. There's also a safety element here worth understanding. Because coal burning indoors sounds risky if you don't know how it's traditionally handled, villagers who've used this method for generations know it's not just about slapping mud around a fire and hoping for the best. Airflow matters. Placement matters. Many of these stoves are designed with small vents or specific chamber shapes that allow proper airflow, reducing the buildup of smoke inside the living space. This isn't a careless, thrown-together system. It's a refined design built and adjusted over countless winters, by people who had every reason to get it right, because getting it wrong meant a genuinely dangerous night. Now here's something worth thinking about for a moment. If you gave a modern engineer, someone with access to every material and every piece of technology available today, the challenge of designing a heating system using nothing but mud and coal, do you think they come up with something better than what villagers already figured out generations ago with nothing but observation and necessity? It's a humbling thought, honestly. Sometimes the most refined solutions don't come from labs and research papers. They come from people who had no other option but to make something work, and who had generations of trial, error, and small improvements to perfect it. This is also why so many of these old techniques are quietly making a comeback, even in places far from any village. People living in areas prone to long power outages, people trying to cut down on heating costs, people who are simply curious about self-sufficient living. They're starting to look back at old methods like this one, not because it's trendy, but because it actually works, and because it doesn't rely on anything outside their own hands. Think about how different that feeling is. Depending on a system means depending on someone else keeping their promise, the power company keeping the lights on, the gas company keeping the supply steady, the prices staying reasonable. Depending on mud and coal means depending on nothing but yourself, a bit of skill, and materials that have existed since the beginning of human history. There's something almost freeing about that kind of independence, especially in a world where so much of daily life depends on systems most people have zero control over. And this brings us to the real turning point in this story, because understanding how this method works and why it faded from modern life is only half the picture. The more important question is what this means for anyone living right now, especially with how unpredictable modern utilities have become in recent years. That's exactly where we're headed next, because the real value of this old village secret isn't just in the history behind it, it's in what it can still offer to people today, in a world that's become far too comfortable, assuming the power will never go out. So let's bring this all together, because by now you understand exactly why mud and coal worked so well, why it wasn't magic, and why it quietly disappeared from most modern homes, even though it never stopped being effective. But the real question left standing is simple. What does this mean for you, right now, sitting wherever you're watching this from? It doesn't mean you need to go dig up mud in your backyard tonight and start building a stove. That's not really the point of any of this. The real point is bigger than one technique. It's about noticing how much of what we call old-fashioned or outdated is actually just wisdom that got quietly buried under convenience. Somewhere along the way, a lot of people started assuming that newer automatically means better, and that older automatically means primitive. But heat is heat. Physics hasn't changed in the last 100 years. What changed is how willing people are to actually understand the systems keeping them warm, instead of just trusting a switch to handle it for them. Think about how many people today have absolutely no idea what would happen if the power went out for 3 days straight in the middle of winter. Not a vague idea, no real plan, just an assumption that someone else will fix it before it becomes a real problem. That assumption works most of the time, until the one time it doesn't. And that's usually when people start scrambling, buying overpriced emergency heaters, burning through savings, sitting in the cold, wondering why nobody ever taught them a backup plan for something as basic as staying warm. Compare that to a village family who grew up watching their parents pack mud around a coal stove every winter. They're not scrambling during a storm. They're not panicking when the power lines go down. They already know exactly what to do, because it was never treated as some emergency survival trick. It was just normal life. Just Tuesday. Just how things have always been done, long before anyone worried about grids or utility bills. That contrast is really what this whole story is about. It's not really about mud, and it's not really about coal. It's about the gap between depending on a system you don't understand and understanding something well enough that you're never fully at its mercy. One of those paths leaves you vulnerable every single time something goes wrong outside your control. The other path means you're never truly stuck, because the solution was never dependent on a wire, a pipeline, or a company keeping a promise. And here's something worth sitting with for a second. This isn't just a story from the past. It's playing out right now, in real time, all over the world. Extreme weather is becoming more common. Power grids are getting pushed harder than they were ever designed for. Heating costs keep climbing every single year, and a lot of people are starting to feel the pressure of relying on systems that were never built with their comfort as the top priority. In that kind of world, understanding old, simple, self-reliant methods isn't nostalgic. It's practical. It's the kind of knowledge that quietly protects you when everything else stops working. That's exactly why stories like this one matter so much more than they get credit for. It's easy to scroll past something like mud and coal heating and assume it's just a quaint little village tradition disconnected from modern life. But look closer, and it's actually a masterclass in patience, resourcefulness, and understanding how heat really behaves. Lessons that plenty of modern systems never bothered to teach anyone because they never needed to. The grid handled it, the gas line handled it. Until one day it doesn't. So if there's one thing worth taking away from all of this, it's this. Real security doesn't come from having the newest, most expensive system in your home. It comes from actually understanding how things work well enough that you're never completely helpless when that system goes down. Villages didn't have backup generators. They didn't have emergency heating trucks showing up during a snowstorm. They had knowledge, passed down carefully, generation after generation, and that knowledge never once failed them, because it wasn't dependent on anything outside their own hands. And honestly, that's a lesson that reaches far beyond heating. It's a reminder that some of the smartest solutions in the world weren't built in labs or factories. They were built by ordinary people, solving real problems, with nothing but patience, observation, and whatever materials were sitting right in front of them. That kind of resourcefulness doesn't go out of style, no matter how advanced the modern world becomes. So here's what I want to know from you. Have you ever heard of a method like this before? Whether it's mud and coal or some other old trick your grandparents or great-grandparents used to survive tough winters without relying on gas or electricity? Drop it in the comments, because these stories deserve to be remembered, not forgotten under a pile of modern convenience. And if this video actually taught you something you didn't know before, something that made you stop and think differently about how heat, energy, and self-reliance really work, do me a favor and share it with someone who'd find this just as fascinating as you did. These old methods survive because people keep passing them on, and that starts with a single share, a single comment, a single person deciding this knowledge is worth keeping alive. So go ahead, hit that comment section, tell me what you think, share this with someone who needs to see it, and I'll see you in the next one.